Quest 3 facial interfaces. We've been testing them, we've been talking about them, and we still haven't found a great fit. But maybe a custom made one from a 3D scan of my face is the way to go. Let's find out. So we've tried a ton of facial interfaces, and probably the closest one so far that I told you about was the AMVR. Ultimately, I didn't recommend it because it still felt like it was steps behind what we're used to on the Quest 2, but it's the best of what's out there. I gotta say a quick shout out and thank you to Stuart on the Discord, who actually set me up with Oblik, one of the two, who makes these custom facial interfaces. You send them a scan from an iPhone of your entire face, and they make one that is just for you. Normally $89, they did send this to me free when I reached out to them and asked them to make one. And they did send me two different ones here. Normally you just get one, so you can see the 3D printedness, obviously, of this here. The whole thing is printed, molded to your face, and then this custom jelly is here. It's really kind of like a seat cushion or like a shoe insert. It's really a jelly like that's on there. For comparison, I've got that horrible facial interface with the tiny nose hole that I have been rocking. I've got the stock one with an Apex Inno silicone cover on here. And remember, head straps are gonna change how these feel a little bit. So we will be trying these between both head straps. My current go-to head straps right now, the Bobo VR M3. That's my favorite. But then for the fitness headset, for the one with Supernatural, Beat Saber, and all that on it, I have been using the other Bobo VR Mini. That's an elite style. It stays a little more stable when you're really shaking your head around. And thus far, I've been okay with the stock one with the silicone cover. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but versus everything I tested, it's also decent. So we got the Quest 3 one here. It looks like the stock interface, but of course, it's 3D print. It's not gonna have that ability to go in and out anymore for lenses, for glasses, so take that into account. They do ask you when they're making it custom though, do you wear glasses, do you need glasses? And because this is for your face only, you should be able to tell them exactly how you want it to work, what you want it to feel like, and you're not gonna be necessarily letting other people use these because they aren't gonna fit your face right anymore. Okay, iPhone 3D scan, how did you do? Ooh, I'm not in love with how the jelly feels. It kind of like sticks to your skin a little bit. It doesn't feel way different than silicone, but if you were someone who rocked cloth or pleather, this would feel like a pretty big leap. It's much shorter. I'm getting the maximum field of view out of this headset I possibly could. I really like that. It's got the lenses close enough to my eyes that I can see everything, yet my eyelashes aren't quite touching the lenses. But even if I were to try to push this in, I can't really get any more field of view out of this. That is impressive. It has little to no ventilation. There's some ventilation on your nose, but like immediately my lenses are trying to fog up on me because this is just making basically an airtight seal out of everywhere except around my nose. I wouldn't mind if they added some vents to the next model to help with that. And an important thing about the M3 is it makes the facial interface matter a little less because, as we talked about before, the M3 puts the pressure on your forehead more than your face, so you can even leave this thing hanging out from your face with space all around. So the facial interface isn't nearly as important. And that's why I can get away with using this piece of crap one I've been using. For being 3D printed, it actually snaps in nice. Like, I trust it a lot. I have a slight concern because when I go to install it, it kind of stops right there. And what I have to do is I have to bend it open a little bit to get it over the lenses. I'm not worried that that's damaging it. This is definitely durable enough to handle that. What I am worried is if you have a piece of plastic perfectly molded to your face and then you have to bend it a tiny bit to get it in, is it now changing how it feels? Gosh, that is custom enough that I can just wear it. Like, the jelly's gripping, the plastic is just right. I wanna get a snorkeling mask 3D printed for my face now. Just no issues and perfect fit. I like that. So the question is, when I go to put it into the headset, I'm bending it a little bit out, which would cause the sides to squeeze in. When I get it all the way on though, all the way clicked and everything's in place, I don't think the bend is actually affecting the fit, because the fit still feels the same. Boy, it feels very different on a Halo strap, because no longer are you worrying about the pressure points, it's just there. And weirdly, because of that, the stickiness is actually bugging me a little bit more. And let me explain really quick why. So when you have a kind of sticky facial interface and it's stuck to your face because your Elite strap is holding it on there and it's not letting it move at all, you don't really notice anymore it's sticky because it's now sealed onto your face, it's bonded against you, and it doesn't go anywhere. Now with the Halo strap, I'm able to have this a little bit off my face, leave some of the pressure, but that means every time it wobbles, I feel that stickiness coming on and off my skin a little bit. So it makes me weirdly want to tighten it down more and wear it tighter than I normally do, just to avoid the stickiness touching me. I've tested, I don't know, maybe hundreds of facial interfaces at this point, and you'll never feel like they're ever quite right for your face. This thing feels like it's just right. It's the texture of the jelly that's the only thing that's throwing me a little bit for a loop. 90 bucks isn't cheap, but it's custom made for me. I need to take this thing away, give it some time, give it some testing, see what it's like once sweat gets in between my face. If I want to let other people test my Quest 3, how do they feel having to use my custom one? Or am I going to be taking this thing on an awful time? I got a lot of questions to answer, so I will get back with you shortly. After about a month with the Oblik custom facial interface, it's time to talk about it. Now, real quick, before we get into the cons, pros, all that, I will say this is probably gonna be my permanent interface, at least unless we see more come, if I get an updated version of this. But for now, I mean, this thing's custom built for my face. So it's probably gonna be better than this piece of crap I was using, or even the stock one. So you know me, we usually start with the things I don't like first, just because I think that's important for you to know. And I will say, one thing that I haven't quite gotten used to yet, this is custom silicone that's on the inside, medical grade, supposed to be totally fine for your skin. It doesn't cause me any rashes or anything. It is a bit sticky feeling against your skin. They're talking about adding different options that you can actually select at checkout in case you wanna do something different. I'm okay with it, I've gotten used to it, but it does kind of pick up hair. You use like one alcohol wipe, the stuff will all come off, but sometimes I look at this thing and I'm like, do I want to stick that on my face right now? Next, it's 3D printed. You can see that, you can feel that, it's clear. So some people might feel like, oh, that can cheapen my headset and how it looks because it looks 3D printed. I wouldn't mind if it was just a black edition, because I think that would fit the headset a bit more, it would look a bit nicer. So I wouldn't mind that either. If for some reason one of these things comes out while you're in the middle of playing, you are not gonna get that back in there while you're playing. You're gonna have to pause the game, take it off, push that silicone back through. I only managed to do that once in the last month, but I got one of these undone and I kept trying to reach up, and even once I got it off my head and tried to force it in, it took some work to get that back in. So beyond that, the pros are gonna be pretty self-apparent. This thing was designed off a 3D scan of my face done on an iPhone, and as long as the scan comes out good, which it should, this thing should perfectly fit your face, which it does for me. So well though, and it creates such a seal with the silicone, that I did find my lenses were fogging a bit more. So what I've been doing is I've been tipping it out just a little bit to where this fan will blow through the top right here and keep those lenses nice and clear for me, because too often I have been fogging up a bit more when with the stock facial interface and all of its airspace and light gap, I was never fogging up. That stickiness does serve a purpose though when it comes to actual gameplay, because when you have this thing on, now not only is my head strap doing a good job of holding this, but that little bit of stickiness just gives me that bit more of stability when I'm shaking around, when I'm moving fast in VR, but also just the fact that it perfectly fits. Like, I've never had a facial interface. All the ones I've tested, there's always been a little bit of a lack right here with fitting in my face. And even with this one, you can see probably why that is, because of the way my face is shaped. This needs to actually curve back in a little bit around my temple, and no stock facial interface is gonna have this weird curve coming back. This does to perfectly fit my face. And you're gonna hear me saying that a lot because it's shocking how perfectly it fit. I was thinking, you know, oh, the scan might not come out perfect, they're gonna have to do some more work, and it's solid. What that also does, because of the way they design it, basically what happens is they start with your scan from your IPD. So it's perfectly set to your IPD, and then from there, they build it out only as far as they have to make it clear everything. So for me, since my nose doesn't stick out as far from my face, it was fine for this to actually come in here, add a bit more stability to the overall design that doesn't interact with my nose, where for someone else, if their nose pushed forward more, either this would become thinner or the actual facial interface would come out a little bit, because they're just making sure there's enough clearance for your eyebrows, for your nose, to where you're not hitting any part of the headset while allowing your eyes to get as close to the lenses as possible. So a way to kind of demonstrate how mine worked in that respect is from the top here. I mean, this thing, not counting the blue pad, is less than an inch. With the blue pad, what is that, 1/8 inch from the front? And now yours might be deeper, it might be shallower, because it's based on how much it needs to have for your face. But you come to something like the stock facial interface and you look, and it's nearly 1.5 inches here. It is a good amount of padding still, but that allowed me to get my eyes closer to lenses than I ever have, minus taking the facial interface off and just shoving the lenses into my eyes. So it's perfectly allowing me to be as close as possible without ever having my eyelashes hit the lenses, without anything interacting, which is a pretty shocking feeling to have. You know, with the Quest 3, it's designed to work for a lot of people, so to suddenly have something like this that works so well for your face, it's cool, it's unusual. Already, since they dropped this out, they told me that they've already worked on some more improvements with the design so that it's gonna help fit more people's faces. So that is one thing I might bring up. As time goes on, they're learning more, so you might actually get a better facial interface the more time you spend waiting, which is a good thing, because I guess I should have probably said the other big con, I think I mentioned before, $90. This is custom, this is built for your face, but for any facial interface for most people, that's gonna sound like a lot of money. $90 is a good amount to invest in your headset. I mean, that's this battery strap. Costs less than that. Once the dock one comes, it'll be more, but if you're wanting the best ergonomics, the headset fitting as close to your face, the biggest field of view you can probably get, this is a solid choice. They guarantee the fit, so if something comes out wrong, they'll make you a new one, they'll send it out to you, they'll replace it if something goes wrong with it. They're guaranteeing that price, but it doesn't mean that it's a small price. One person in the comments saw on the strap review here that I was using this, they had one too, and they said that for them personally, the silicone was a little too grippy. They got the cloth VR covers, and then those go over it, and then you have cloth on your face with the perfect fit. The cloth is breathable, so that actually helps a little bit with the fogging too, just creates that extra layer there, and they were really happy with that combo. That's more money, again, that you're investing. I've tried this with everything, fitness games, sitting games, everything I possibly could. It's held up against every other facial interface, obviously so far, because so far, most of the Quest 3 facial interfaces, as we've shown you, are kind of crap still. We need someone to come along better. If they were gonna make another edition though, I would love to see an option for some ventilation, especially now that I have this fan up here. It'd be nice to have a way for the air to travel through better. That would solve the fogging. I don't know if colors are already an option. I probably could have asked them that. I would think it's 3D printed, I'd think so, but there might be a certain material they're using here that comes in this color. But I do think black would match a little bit better, just overall. It would tie the headset together a little more, because it's not like this looks anything like the Quest color, and it doesn't look like any other color on the headset. But that's a nitpick. I mean, you're not gonna be seeing that in VR. And for Quest 2 owners, they make Quest 2 ones as well. Obviously, I've still got my Bobo VR with the fan on there, so I'd be missing my fan. But I think that putting it on a Quest 2 really reminds you how custom this is, because on the Quest 3, it looks right. This looks kind of weird against it. Like, it's really showing you how different my face shape is than the shape of this headset. Once you've rocked a Quest 3 for a while, it's a little rough to go back to a Quest 2. It is the most custom feeling Quest 2 facial interface now that I've felt, albeit it doesn't have a fan or an option to attach my fan. Obviously, when it comes to comfort, you're probably not gonna do any better than having something custom to your face, but another important factor is weight, especially if you're not rocking a Halo strap. If you're rocking a stock strap, more weight on the front of your face is more weight on the front. So let's do a quick comparison. Stock Quest 3 facial interface, 66 grams and 90 grams. It is a significant increase, and I believe it's mostly, honestly, this thicker silicone here, but it is all 3D printed plastic. It has weight to it. Doesn't mean it feels very durable and sturdy though. 3D printing has a little bit of flexibility typically. It feels just more solid. This thing is just, you know how I feel about the stock facial interface. So with all that said, I am living with this thing for a while, at least. Maybe if they make another edition, I'll test it out and give you an update on what's come since, but it fits me great, it feels great, it stays on my face there, and then this fan now is helping me with the major problem that I'm having of the fogging. But what do you think out there about it? Are you still rocking the stock facial interface? Did you go for one of these other ones they made that have vents, but they're kind of pieces of crap and don't fit most people's faces very well? Or are you still waiting to see do some fan editions come something else? I'd love to know, but if you're interested in the Oblik, I will leave links in the comments, the description down below, so you can get your own. You do have to know somebody who has an iPhone, or you have to have an iPhone to do the 3D face scan. I had to go over to John's and use his iPhone to do my face scan, so keep that in mind. But thank you once again. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, especially if you own one, so other people can see what other people think about theirs too. But thank you, and I'll see you in another reality.